The Maldives Monetary Authority projects a record 2.4 million tourist arrivals in the coming year, signaling renewed momentum in the island nation's most vital economic sector. Schools across the Maldives reopens for the second academic term, following a 16-day inter-term break. And the IUM assessed the teacher training courses aimed at those working with students with special learning needs or special educational needs teachers is designed to provide practical experience. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to PSM News in English with me, Hafiz Abdul Sattar. Now the news in detail. The Maldives Monetary Authority projects a record 2.4 million tourist arrivals in the coming year, signaling renewed momentum in the island nation's most vital economic sector. The forecast builds on a strong first half performance, marked by a sustained growth in both visitor numbers and overnight stays. The central bank in its mid-term report recorded a 9.2% increase in international arrivals during the first 6 months of 2025 compared with the same period last year. MMA data shows by the end of June 1,108,130 tourists had visited the country, up from 1,015,527 in the corresponding period of 2024. Growth was also evident in the duration of stays, with total bed nights reaching 6,892,533 by mid-year, an increase of 1.2% over the same period last year. These figures reflect a continued resilience in the tourism sector, supported by favorable market conditions and recent infrastructure enhancements. Among the developments cited by the MMA is the operationalization of the new passenger terminal at Welana International Airport. Now fully functional, the upgraded facility is expected to improve international connectivity and accommodate higher volumes of inbound traffic. The central bank identified this expansion as a key factor underpinning its revised projections. Earlier estimates released in May had placed expected arrivals for 2025 at 2.2 million. The government has since adjusted its own forecast, now anticipating 2.3 million visitors by year end. Passenger traffic through Welana International Airport further illustrates the sector's momentum. The airport served 4.1 million travelers in the first half of the year, underscoring elevated activity at the country's primary international gateway. Beyond tourism, the MMA expects broader economic gains. National gross domestic product is projected to grow between 4.5% and 5.6% by the end of the year, driven largely by the anticipated surge in tourism-related revenue. Schools across the Maldives reopens for the second academic term, following a 16-day inter-term break. The return to classrooms marks a key momentum in the academic year for approximately 90,000 students as the government prepares to implement a significant reform to the national school calendar. Students began their first term holiday on 24th July. With the second term now underway, classes are scheduled to continue until 25th December. The academic year will then conclude with the annual holiday period observed from 28th December through to 22nd January. The calendar reform reflects a reversal of the previous administration's decision to initiate the school year mid-year. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz's government has confirmed that beginning in 2026, the academic year will officially commence on 27th January, restoring the traditional January start long favored by educators and institutions. The Maldivian education system currently accommodates approximately 90,000 students, with nearly 84,000 enrolled in 217 government-run schools across the country. Data continues to show a pronounced concentration of students in the capital region. The 19 schools located in Male account for 33% of total enrollment. In parallel, 21% of the nation's educational workforce is employed within these Male-based institutions. The Islamic University of Maldives says the teacher training courses aimed at those working with students with special learning needs or special educational needs teachers is designed to provide practical experience. Teacher training courses for SEN teachers are set to be launched next month at IUM and Villa College in collaboration with the Ministry of Education. Dr. Sheena, the Dean of IUM's Kulia of Education, speaking on a PSM News' Rajamedu program regarding the opportunities and programs available at IUM, emphasized that the SEN teacher training course will focus on practical experience and is designed to include 4 dedicated workshops covering essential skills. These include classroom management, differentiated teaching strategies for children grouped by learning needs, and other key areas to ensure SEN teachers are well equipped and competent. In addition, Dr. Sheena said that both the lecturers of the SEN teacher training course as well as current teachers from schools will participate in these workshops. She said the IUM is always working to improve the quality of its courses. The opportunity to apply for the teacher training course is now open, with the deadline set at 21st August. Dr. Sheena said classes will commence with the August intake. The Ministry of Education is conducting a SEN teacher training as part of the National Teacher Training Program. The National Teacher Training Program is a key component of President Dr. Muhammad Muiz's education pledges. Dr. Sheena had previously said the 1-year diploma level course will be conducted in every island where IUM has campuses. The course is fully funded by the government and free for participants. Additionally, each student enrolled will receive $100 as pocket money every month. The state-owned Maldives Industrial Fisheries Company initiates negotiations to acquire the privately owned ANSYS cannery and processing plant in Hulu Male, aiming to restore a strategically significant industrial asset and strengthen the company's fish processing capacity. The facility has remained inactive for approximately 18 months. MIFCO confirmed that technical assessments of this operational potential have been completed and that the company intends to invest in advanced machinery and equipment to recommence production. According to MIFCO, discussions with ANSYS Fisheries Private Limited, the plant's current owner, are ongoing. Commissioned on 9th December 2019, following a capital investment of $25 million, the ANSYS factory was, at the time of its inauguration, the largest fish processing facility in the Greater Male region. Designed with a daily canning capacity of 25 tons of fish, the plant also includes a 1,000-ton ice production unit and storage infrastructure capable of accommodating 1,200 tons of chilled fish. The fish meal plant, intended to convert fish waste into fertilizer, further reflects the facility's integrated approach to marine resource utilization. Despite its technical sophistication, the factory ceased operations due to financial pressures stemming from a policy shift under the previous administration. ANSYS Fisheries, which employed approximately 200 personnel at the site, attributed the closure of a mandated increase in the purchase price of a skipjack tuna to $1.62 per kilogram, a change the company said resulted in unsustainable losses. Established in 2002, ANSYS Fisheries initially focused on the export of skipjack tuna to international markets. The company expanded its operations in 2006 with the launch of its first fish factory and subsequently introduced its proprietary brand NZ. distributing processed fish products both domestically and abroad. Fahidiriulung Corporation Limited reviews over 600 flat agreements under the Gadoruveria scheme have been signed thus far after initiating the process late last month.
The Ministry of Construction, Housing and Infrastructure had forwarded the names of 2,665 recipients to FTC to initiate the agreement signing process on the 21st of July. The FTC said it has signed agreements with 640 recipients so far as it aims to complete the entire process within the next 3 months. FTC has instructed recipients who have been notified through SMS to upload the required documents through its online portal before coming in to sign the agreement. A time slot will be allocated to recipients to sign the agreement once the documentation has been uploaded to the FAHI portal. FTC has arranged the agreement signing at the Hulumale synthetic track between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. The agreement signing process will be conducted with priority given to the towers that are ready for moving in. The project, overseen by FTC, was contracted to 2 Indian companies. While a total of 32 towers are being developed, this includes 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom flats. The project is currently the largest social housing project being implemented in the Male area. Of the 32 towers, 16 are being constructed by Kalpataru Projects International Limited. The company's towers are under the name Aman Udares. The remaining 16 towers are being constructed by the National Buildings Construction Corporation of India. The 16 towers of NBCC are named Aman Dodi, with over 80% of the work of both towers already completed. The government is looking to begin the handover of units before the end of the month.
The Maldives Inland Revenue Authority is planning to digitalize its services and automate internal processes. MIRA's Director General Administration and Finance, Ahmad Shafneez, speaking on PSM News' Rajmed program, said that one of the key components under MIRA's strategic action plan is to digitalize the services provided by the authority. According to Shafneez, MIRA is currently digitalizing its systems to facilitate tax payments using modern technology, and plans are underway to automate internal processes to make its work more efficient. He pointed out that much of MIRA's services have already been automated, including information clarification and tax return submissions. MIRA, established in 2010, started off with just 40 staff and has now expanded to 300 employees with 18 offices in all corners of the Maldives. Maldives Ports Limited states that 99% of the vessels using the Male North Harbour are officially registered to operate in the area. Only registered vessels are permitted to anchor in the North Harbour, which MPL now manages along with the commercial port and the harbour area near the fish market. MPL's Assistant General Manager responsible for Male North Harbour operation, Ahmad Hamdullah Rashid, speaking on PSM News' Rajamir program, says the registration of vehicles using the area is an ongoing process that can be completed at any time. He said MPL staff visits the harbour area every morning and evening to inform fishing vessels regarding registration requirements. According to Hamdullah, MPL is actively assisting unregistered vessels by explaining the services provided at the documentation required for registration. He further added the documents required for registration can be sent to MPL via Viber or WhatsApp, after which MPL would then process the registration. Hamdullah emphasized that MPL wishes to operate the port as a public service rather than purely a commercial port. He said MPL aims to provide smooth and accessible services for the public. With the ongoing expansion of the North Harbour area, MPL is working to introduce new faculties, new facilities and services to the newly added area. MPL said this includes making fuel and ice available for purchase from within the harbour area. In business, we have US stocks ends higher and Nasdaq scores a record closing high for the second straight day as technology-related shares, including Apple, gained amid optimism about expectations for rate cuts this year. Three major indices also registered gains for the week. Apple shares climbed, extending recent gains. Earlier this week, US President Donald Trump and Apple would invest an additional $100 billion in the US, bringing its total commitment to $600 billion over the next 4 years. The S&P 500 Technology Index also rose. Also helping the S&P 500 shares of Gilead Sciences rose after it raised its full-year financial outlook. According to LSEG, with results in now from more than 450 of S&P 500 companies, estimated earnings growth for the second quarter was at 13.2%, up from 5.8% on July 1st. Recent weaker economic data has underpinned expectations for the rate cuts, while investors are evaluating Trump's interim pick for the Federal Reserve governor. The President-nominated Council of Economic Advisers Chair Stephen Miran to the short-term board seat following Adriana Kugler's abrupt exit last week, as he narrowed his shortlist to succeed Fed Chair Jerome Powell, whose term ends on May 15th.
Stocks are up and are going to close the week near their high, with new all-time highs likely for the S&P and definitely for the NASDAQ. It's a combination of some geopolitical hopes. The fact that the president is going to meet with Putin very near term is giving some hope of relaxation of geopolitical tensions. Earnings continue to be strong, and the hope for lower interest rates.
Miran also is often aligned with Trump, has previously suggested Powell was too late in lowering rates. According to CME Group's FedWatch tool, traders now peg about 90% chance of the first rate cut hitting next month, with futures pointing to at least 2 cuts by year-end. The S&P 500 gained 49.45 points to end at 6,389.45 points, while the Nasdaq Composite gained 207.32 points to 21,450.02. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 206.97 points or 0.47% to 44,175.61. Moody's Ratings says U.S. President Donald Trump's steep 50% tariffs on Indian imports could severely undermine India's manufacturing ambitions and slow economic growth.
Trump imposes an additional 25% tariff on Indian goods, citing New Delhi's continued imports of Russian oil in a move that could severely impact India's gems and jewelry, textiles, and auto component sector. The new import tax, effective 21 days after August 7th, will raise duties on some Indian goods to as high as 50%, among the highest levied on any U.S. trading partner. The United States, India's largest market for gems and jewelry, accounted for $10 billion in exports last year, nearly 30% of India's global sales in the sector. India's Gem and Jewelry Export Promotion Council has warned that the tariffs could bring the industry to a standstill, especially with competing manufacturing hubs such as Turkey, Vietnam, and Thailand being taxed at lower rates. India's textile industry is already receiving panic-stricken calls from customers after Trump announced the additional 25% tariff. Apparel and textile companies like Shahi Exports, Welspun, Indocount Industries, Trident, and Gokaldas Exports are top exporters that are likely to take a hit with tariffs rising to 50%. In 2024, the companies exported goods worth over $2 billion and in the first half of 2025 shipped products of about $1 billion to U.S. clients, including Walmart, Target, Costco, and Gap. India's auto components sector has grown rapidly over the last few years and is one of the few industries that records a trade surplus. The U.S. is its largest export market, making up close to a third of global trade. In 2024, India exported components worth $6.6 billion to the U.S. Of this, over $3.5 billion comprised parts for cars and small trucks that are currently exempt from the 50% tariff will pay just 25%. However, exports of components for commercial vehicles like large trucks and agricultural equipment worth about $3 billion will attract a 50% tariff.
New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon and his Australian counterpart Anthony Albanese presents a united front on urging a ceasefire in Gaza and a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict at a meeting in Queenstown.
The leaders made the comments at a news conference after talks at their annual leaders meeting with defense, trade and geopolitics at the top of the agenda.
First, we look out in the world in very similar ways, navigating a global order that is volatile, uncertain and contested. And our conversation today highlighted that we share the same assessment of the problems, but that we're also firm about the agency we have to navigate a complex world. That the close bonds between Australia and New Zealand provide us both with a bedrock of certainty, of predictability and, quite frankly, the knowledge that we have one another's backs.
Australia has not yet joined Western allies such as the UK, Canada and France in announcing it would recognize Palestinian statehood, but has said it would make a decision at an appropriate time while escalating its criticism of Israel's actions.
I've said it's a matter of when, not if. It is circumstances. I spoke with Mahmoud Abbas as well, the president of the Palestinian Authority. We put out a readout of that, and there we raised the reforms that are required. We want to see, I think, two things as Australians. I think overwhelmingly Australians want to see two things. One is they want to see a ceasefire. They want to see the killing stop. Yep. They want to see hostages released.
Luxon and Albanese also reiterated their commitment to the Pacific and the importance of working with Pacific Island leaders on the impacts of climate change in the region.
Indonesia powers its way to gold in the open 8-seater 2,000-meter dragon boat pursuit, commanding the Chandu waters in 9 minutes 8 seconds 12 milliseconds, marking a landmark moment as a dragon boat makes its debut as an official sport at the World Games. Sweden's Melina Andersson claimed the women's canoe marathon K1 short distance title in 15 minutes 20 seconds 64 milliseconds. Her win here, the latest chapter in a scintillating vein of form from the past year that saw her win the 2024 Worlds despite breaking her paddle and rallying on a spare. The men's race came down to a battle of milliseconds with Denmark's Mads Brandt Pedersen seizing the men's K1 short distance gold in 13 minutes 45 seconds 46 milliseconds, just piping South Africa's Hamish Lovemore. Pedersen, already a world and European champion, now adds another jewel to a sparkling career. Portugal's Jose Romero came third. In the archery competition, target compound men's world number 1 Mike Scholesser defeated Curtis Brodnecks to claim his first gold in the World Games just weeks after becoming a new father. Madeline's artisans and flower growers prepares for the upcoming Stella Tourist Parade, the central event and culmination of the region's flower festival. St. Helena district of Madeline is renowned as the birthplace of the iconic stilettos, floral arrangements carried on the backs of people known as stiletteros. Each year during the festival, stiletteros march through Madeline's streets, showcasing their colorful stilettos, Works of art made with flowers and natural elements, symbols of rural labor, family heritage, and tradition from the mountainous region. Originally used to transport goods and people in Santa Elena's mountainous terrain, Siletus have evolved into floral art representing traditional, emblematic, or commercial themes. During this time, families teach children to shape cardboard bases for artistic siletus, explore the local heritage, and visit gardens to exchange species before they hit the streets in the Sileteros parade. Artisan and siletero Francisco Quintoro said, quote, "It's a unique emotion to look at the past, feel this present we are living in, and know that the future will be even more promising," unquote, while placing flowers on his siletus shaped like a bird. The Feria della Flores parade is due to be held today on the 10th of August. And that's all we have for this hour. Thank you for watching. Wish you all a very pleasant day ahead.
Jevar Lotifa, whatever Bala, then Fatani. And come with the Hokam Mihan, if it taken us some cooling alien, I'll be Alani Kafon or Balag.
Direkana meets a Tanden and Migagana Mahaka Karivande. Miharu, me tame Kutakuga, me Fenani, Avan Mikologa, Visumataka, Gengule, Ma, we feel data.
කම්මි පානත පන්සවිස් කිලෝයා හමය ගොඩවාකම අද මිතාගේ පෙපුම් පාකරණය
ಊರಗೆಂದಾತ ಅಮ್ಮಹ ಮುವಮಹ ದೇತರೆಗ 1 ಕಿಲೋಗೆ ಸಹಿತ ಮೀಟಿ ಬೊಡುವಾಣಿ ಲೆಬುಮ್ ಮಿಗೆಡ್ಡನಿ 500 ml ವರೆಗೆ ಕೂಡ ಅಲ್ಗಿ ಕೊಳೆ ಏತಿ ಬಕಟು 15 ಲೀಟರ್ ಬಕಟುಗೆ ಕಲ್ಚಾ ಕೊಪ್ಪ ದೆನ್ ಇತರ ಬೊಡು ಪರಂವೆಗೆನ್ ಟ್ಯಾಂಕುಗೆ ಕಲ್ಚಾ ಪುರಣಿ
ರಾಜ್ಯಗ ಎಮ್ಮೆ ಆಮು ಬಲಿತಕಕ್ಕೆ ಕೊಬ ಬಲಿ ಜೇಫೋರಿಕನ್ ದೆನಗಣ್ಣಾಣಿ ಕೀನೆ ಬಲಿಗೆ ಅಲಾಮೆತ್ತಕಕ್ಕೆ ಕೊಬ ಬಲಿನ್